Tearra Bell. I am the marketing and influence coordinator for Charlotte FC, so one of the newest Major League Soccer teams. Started about a year and a half ago. Started as an intern actually, and then worked my way up within 6 months to be full-time. So basically I oversee our NIL program and all of our influencer marketing projects.
Awesome. Hi, nice to meet you guys. I'm Noveen. I've been about a year and a half over at Captiv8. Captiv8's a full funnel influencer marketing platform, and I came on board leaving the Pac-12 and conference life to come on board and kind of get our NIL and collegiate services launched and basically launching an entire vertical dedicated to our NIL efforts, collegiate athletes, and optimizing and maximizing the opportunities there.
That's so exciting. And Tearra, Charlotte FC is the first team to have an NIL program. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, we are the first team to have an NIL program. And as of now, I think still the only team in MLS that has an NIL program. So it's super exciting. As we know, the NIL world is super new to everyone. And so our organization really wanted to take a leap of faith and allow for us to really show the talent that is within the Carolinas, because there's so many universities, so many schools. So again, so much talent within the Carolinas that we're like, hey, like we want to give them an amazing platform and just push them forward even more.
What is the goal behind that? And what do you have like the athletes do? What is their role with the team?
Yeah, so our goal as an organization is to always be progressive, ambitious, and collective. And that's what I look for within our student athlete ambassador program. So essentially, we have 10 student athletes. They are with us for the entire season. And honestly, I tell them up front that like, you get to choose what you want your journey to be. So some of them love social media. They come to the stadium, get content. Others, they really love community service. So they partner with our community team to volunteer throughout the Carolinas. Some even hosted their own soccer clinics for youth in their hometown. Others love philanthropy and just raising money. So we've been able to be a part of all the organizations that they want to partner with too. And also, we have so many incredible partners like Ally, Harris Teeter Cope that they also get to work with throughout the season. And I feel like one of my favorite projects that we did last year, featuring like Michaela Boykin, was she worked with Adidas to help us launch our shoe, our very first shoe, with them. So that was a really, really cool moment. And I just love those things about the NIL because it gives you so many opportunities that student athletes didn't have.
I love that. And that's something that Captiv8 is doing as well, creating a whole NIL region of your company. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that and what the goal is to provide student athletes with?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of education. I think when NIL first started, we also sit in a really unique position where we're kind of the medium between enterprise brands, talent agencies, talent, and the actual creators. And so we're able to kind of facilitate these conversations and then obviously doing a lot of education. So first 6 months, everyone's like, no, we're too scared. We don't want to get involved. What is this? What do we need to know? How do we not get in trouble? So many little things like that. We also partner with universities as well to layer in an aspect of education for students on campus. And so again, once, you know, the university side of things was maybe like, well, we don't understand influencer marketing. What is this? Like, why is data important? Brands were like, well, we're interested in working with student athletes, but is there a risk involved? So I would say the first year that we started was a lot of education internally, externally, easing a lot of minds, talking about policies, talking about restrictions, and then teaching people what, you know, the marketing efforts and why influencer and creator marketing is such a robust channel and how student athletes are basically, again, 400,000 new creators that we can tap into that before we're not able to be activated. So we're super excited to be sitting in this position and taking what we've learned in the market of creator marketing, applying that to student athletes and being able to educate kind of all sides of the coin. I guess there's only two sides of a coin, but every side of being able to showcase why it's important, why it actually drives good engagement, good ROI, why it's a good marketing tactic, and obviously huge opportunity for student athletes. That's where my bread and butter is. And that's what I love to see, is that student athletes are gaining this opportunity to earn, monetize, become entrepreneurs, have experiences. And so that's something that I'm super passionate about. But seeing this kind of world come together, I kind of joked it didn't exist 2 years ago, and now look at where we are.
And we have women at the top of NIL as well. What has the value of investing in women been like?
I guess I can start. I mean, we're seeing it, right? The top names that are earning an NIL are women. I think we've kind of seen that they're natural users of social media. I think 80% of NIL efforts are on social media. First and foremost, obviously, there's so many layers to what NIL provides: camps and clinics, autograph sessions, in-person appearances, again, merchandise, you name it. But when it comes down to social media, that's where the bread and butter is really made for the most part. I mean, they're performing the best. Like the numbers show it, the data shows it. I think we did a study about a year into NIL, and the engagement rates of female athletes, both in women's basketball and in Olympic sports, was double the standard of a standard influencer, was double that of their male counterparts. I think we saw like a 9.4 average engagement on TikTok for women's basketball, which is crazy. The standard rate is 1%, so like almost 10 times more. So we're seeing that there's obviously, everyone's investing in women right now. I don't want to say it's a trend. I think it's now becoming a staple, right? Like that we are now entering a phase where that's just going to be part of the norm. It's not something that's like, oh, and let's also bring on our women's tactic. It's like everyone's thinking about this very top of mind when it comes to diversity and inclusion, all of these kinds of things. And so you're seeing it actually prove its worth. It's not just like, oh, we have to add it in for our like community efforts. It's now like, no, that's going to actually drive your results for you.
Has it been the same with Charlotte FC?
Honestly, yes. So I found that women who we've worked with tend to really, really excel. I think just the natural want to be creative and to step out in faith and just say, this is who I am, this is what I believe in. And again, not being afraid to be vulnerable, to like have fun, to be their true authentic self. And I feel like that's just something that really, really works well and resonates with other people, is when you see authentic women living their best lives, but also having their moments of transparency and saying like, I'm a real human being too. And I feel like a lot of our student athletes, again, I bring people onto our team that are progressive, collective, and ambitious. And so with that, yeah, our ladies are just amazing.
And when it comes to seeking out athletes, especially females, for NIL, what is something that you're looking for?
Honestly, someone who is authentic, someone who isn't afraid to just step out and try something new. One of the things that I've done a lot with the program is bring on student athletes who truly have no connection really to soccer at all. And that reason is because like, if I can get them to buy into Charlotte FC as just a casual fan, they can do the same to their fan base too. Because granted, Michaela, she plays basketball. Most of her followers and friends love basketball, but when she started coming to Charlotte FC matches and truly like fell in love with it, like you could truly see that organic, like, wow, I did not know that soccer could be this fun. And so I look for people, again, who are progressive, collective, ambitious, who are authentic, who don't necessarily have any ties to soccer, even though we do have women's soccer players on our team, on our program. But yeah, just individuals who really want to be a part of something that is bigger than them. Also individuals who want to be a part of something that is new, but very organic. And most importantly, like individuals, women who want to be a part of a team, not just for a season, but for a lifetime. Because I know that they have made amazing connections with each other that I know will last forever. So that's a big part of what I look for when it comes to our student athletes.
And Noveen, is that the same at Captiv8?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, there is a level of measurement obviously involved in everything that we do. So high engagement rates, posting patterns, we're a little bit more granular and in the analytics, but at the same time, drive ambition, someone who's authentic in their content. Obviously content quality, we always talk about that, because we are driving, major brands to either purchase, awareness, whatever that looks like. But at the same time, we love to tell the message that student athletes can diversify your audience really, really well. Like you said, you can take a basketball player and put them in front of a soccer audience, and all of a sudden you've brought in a whole new audience and new following. We're seeing a ton of that's happening. I think the rise of women's basketball has been incredible in some of the campaigns that we've ran. We, partnering with women's basketball student athletes, they're driving such great narratives. They're competing on the court. I love this idea of like, what's on the court, what's off the court. You think about that grit, that competitive nature. And then you also have someone who's also talking about beauty and fashion and, lifestyle on the backside. And that's just part of who their identity is. They're not one or the other. There's a lot of duality. There's a lot of, we can be both and not either or. And so we love to see the well-rounded student athletes. If you have a cause, if you're passionate about something, make it known, right? We a lot of our education that we're talking about when we're on campus is, if you want to partner with the brand, mention them, post about them, talk about them. They're not going to know who you are. You're not going to kind of come up to the surface unless you're actually talking about the product, talking about the brand, showing an affinity, and then bringing your audience along with you.
There's also the factor of influence. Like, let's say you see an athlete using a certain product that could make them better at doing something. If you play that same sport, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, they use it, so I need to use it, I need to buy it. And I think that's like super important, but it's also a huge win from the brand side and the athlete side. And that's something that you guys are seeing.
Absolutely. I would also say like the teammate aspect too, right? So like you have a whole squad, there's a lot of influence within that locker room. There's a lot of influence within your campus. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a look left, look right business. You're looking at what your peers are doing. You want to get involved. I think there's been healthy discourse, about what's happening in the NIL space. Like, someone is, how did you get there? How did you partner with this brand? I want to know more. Let me if it's freshmen and seniors talking to each other in a locker. I love that. Like, it's just one more thing that's bringing people together. I hope it's bringing people together, and I hope it's not like a competition. But every student athlete I've talked to is like, no, we talk about it candidly. We love to see it happen. The other thing that we talk about is student athletes are highly brand safe, right? They walk around every single day representing two brands. Their school logo and then their apparel partner. Every single day they're walking around two logos. So, and those are major logos, right? Like if you're wearing, I don't know, North Carolina Nike, like North Carolina and Jordan, those are huge brands that you're representing as you're walking around. So how can we translate that and have brands also understand they come in, and again, I'm old school. So like we played for the 4 letters on our chest. I went to UCLA and not on the name on the back. It's an interesting mind shift now, right? You have the 4 letters on the front and you can represent the name on the back. It's not either or, it's both and.
And as somebody who went to a small school, and I mean, things are very different than when I was in college, but I went to a small school, and I feel like if I was still there and didn't have the social media presence that I still have, I would be kind of lost when it comes to NIL. And as you said, like you look at other people and you're like, oh my goodness, they're getting all these deals. How is this happening? What advice would you give to athletes looking to get into the space, looking to profit off of themselves?
Tearra, do you want to speak? I can speak to it as well.
Yeah, I can speak to it. For me, I know a lot of brands and companies do look at the numbers. But for me, I've always fought for like, numbers are important, but they aren't everything. Again, the Carolinas, we have so many amazing schools and universities here. And so, yes, we have the heavy hitter schools like Duke and UNC Chapel Hill and Clemson and everything in between, but also we have smaller scale schools like Queen's University or UNC Greensboro. And like, it's so important to tap into those schools too, because when you go to a huge campus, yes, people may know you, but also people may not know you. But when you go to such a tiny university or college, like almost like you know everyone. And so in my opinion, I feel like that helps our program even more because there's like this closeness, this tight knit circle within the entire university and not just within the athletic department and things like that. So I love when I have student athletes from smaller scale schools because they truly like, bring Charlotte FC to every aspect of that campus, whereas someone who goes to NC State or Duke may only be able to carry it as far as their psychology program or their basketball program, and that's it. So my advice would be like, don't let the numbers make you feel like you are not equipped to be an amazing like student athlete ambassador, because that is far from true. Like, it comes from commitment, it comes from being yourself, it comes from just wanting again to show other people that like, hey, like I may not go to this heavy hitter school, or I may not go to this huge school, I may not have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but guess what, this brand, like I believe in them, I wanted to work with them, I made it happen. And like now vice versa, they believe in me, they want to uplift me, they want to be in my corner. So that would be my advice, is to just try, because you never know until you truly just try.
I'll just add one thing, and that's don't discredit the power of like the regional businesses as well. There's a lot of local businesses in these small college towns that are extremely, there's a huge fan base for the student athletes. They're really, really ingrained in the local market. And we've seen that lower, some of the smaller micro influencers that have maybe lower followings have the highest engagement, right? Following is just a vanity metric, but that engagement number is saying, basically, if I'm going to post, everyone that follows me is going to engage with this content because I have a very active following. They engage with my content. They're have a lot of affinity to me. I'm going to get a like, I'm going to get a reshare. It's going to happen. So those regional businesses, those local regional businesses, there's so much opportunity there. If it's a sandwich shop down the road and you have a favorite sandwich, ask them if you can post about it. If it's in kind, if it's monetary, there's a way to get involved. And don't limit yourself to, I have to get that Nike deal, I have to get that Gatorade deal, or else NIL doesn't matter to me. There's so many ways to tap into this effort, this opportunity. You just have to be a little bit creative. Put yourself out there, ask a couple questions. Don't be afraid to DM a local business, and you'd be surprised as to how many people will actually want to get involved.
And that's, I feel like, in every single aspect of your life, like toothpaste, toothbrushes, the pillow you use, like literally any part of your life, you can reach out to that brand and just see if something is there. But I think that's a big thing that people don't realize is, as you said, they think the Nike, the big companies, is the thing that makes them successful, but it's a lot of the small things.
And that's what people think is like these endemic sports brands is the big sport. Like I am in sports, so I need to work with the sports brand only. Everything you touch every single day, if it's the pen that you love to write with, if it's, I don't know, the phone case that you love on your phone, literally every single thing that you touch and feel. And again, there's a whole affiliate marketing side of things where you can actually earn commission based on your following, purchasing, making purchases. There's so many ways. And we like to talk about how student athletes actually can they perform in every single vertical. It's not just in the sports stuff, skincare, beauty, quick serve restaurants, all the food chains that everyone's partnering with. There's so many different ways to get involved. Cars, auto, local dealerships. I mean, there's just literally there's so many different areas that they can then maximize in. But like you said, the common product that you're using every single day, or the place that you shopper marketing is also a huge thing. So working with your local Target or your local Walmart, getting involved in the funnel that they're working on, like all of that kind of stuff is opportunity.
And with Charlotte FC, I feel like there's almost another opportunity there. As you said, with Michaela, she plays basketball. She didn't know or maybe have an interest in soccer, but then when she got there, she loved it. And I feel like that's really, you're able to open the accessibility to a whole bunch of people, because even me, when I first got into soccer, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. And then once you get in there, especially with the atmosphere and the fans, I feel like it's a whole different experience. Is Michaela the only non-soccer player, or do you have more?
So we do have other non-soccer players. So we have Michaela, who's women's basketball. We had a young lady from Queen's University. She did swimming and diving. We just signed a women's rower from UNC Chapel Hill. And then, of course, we have a few football players, but then the rest of our ladies are women's soccer players. So there's a little bit diversity. Looking forward to some of the applicants that we have that I'm going through. So gymnastics, softball, golf. So again, for the most part, I want our program again to represent the Carolinas, which is very diverse. And so yes, of course, we could have all soccer players, but I wanted to go step beyond that. And again, just highlight the amazing talent and individuals that we have. And I didn't want to limit us just to soccer.
And when it comes to life after NIL, that's a conversation that has kind of started, and the Cavender twins especially like have boosted it because they're done playing sports. They're not going to go pro. What's next? How are both Charlotte FC and Captiv8 helping with that? And what do you think the future holds?
Yeah, so personally, what I do from the very get-go is like, hey, I am here for you as an individual first, and then after that, I'm there for you when it comes to grades and academics, and then I'm there for you for athletics, and so we kind of like set these expectations of like, when we have our chats, I want you to give me life updates, not things that are going on the field or on the court. Like, what is happening in your life? What do you want after this? And so because we're able to build that friendship, that connection, and they truly do fall in love with Charlotte FC and our front office staff, and our fans. For example, we had Tori Hansen. She's a women's soccer player. She was a women's soccer player at UNC Chapel Hill. And then we had Trey Creamer. He was a football player at UNC Charlotte. And so now they're done, or either they've transferred to a school that's not in the Carolinas, but they still get to be a part of what we're doing here. So technically they're not considered student athlete ambassadors anymore, but they're more so like our influencer partners who we work with. So there definitely is life after the NIL. But again, it's going to be how much did you put into the program, like while you were there? Because for me, if I had a student athlete who like had a little bit of fun, but wasn't truly like sold into all the things that we're doing here, then probably after the program, that might be it. But if I had individuals who still reach out like, hey, I want to come to a game, or hey, like I saw this event that you guys are doing in the community, like, can I still be a part of it? The answer is always yes. And I feel like that, again, is what the motto that brands should have, is that like this partnership goes beyond you just being a student athlete, but it's more so with you as an individual first.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, relationships are everything. And I think just nurturing those as you're working with student athletes is so important. I think one of the interesting things too is now that NIL is an opportunity, they're also learning about contracts, negotiation, what it looks like to work with an agent. There's just so many other things that are exposed with the coming up of NIL. New jobs have been created left and right. Again, my job didn't exist 2 years ago. So my takeaway is look at what all the people that touch what you're doing when you're in school, and now you know that that's a position that you can go get after school. We talk, what's this NCAA stat about how many % go pro in something other than their sport? Is these jobs now exist. Maybe you learn something throughout this process that you want to get involved in influencer marketing. Maybe you want to still become a creator. You want to continue your creator life. Captiv8 actually services 15 million creators. So it's not just for student athletes. It's not an NIL exclusive platform. It is for any influencer that's trying to understand their metrics, their data, obviously the brands that are involved with us. But once again, it opens up your avenue into knowing, hey, I worked with that company, Captiv8. Maybe there's an opportunity there for to do an informational interview, to get a job, to get an internship, whatever that might look like, but it's exposing them to this whole new layer of job opportunities. I've been in collegiate athletics for the last 15 years, and every year or so there's a new topic that becomes really, really hot and interesting. First it was sports, it was nutrition and health. Schools started amping up their services to be able to support that. We saw mental health become a really, really important on college campuses. Again, a whole layer of resources came into campus to be able to support that. And now there's visibility around it. NIL is one of those next two things that's not going anywhere. All of these things have come and stayed. So what's going to happen is, again, new jobs are opening up, new opportunities are opening up. And what better person to slot into those roles than someone who's gone through the experience themselves. So we love to talk to student athletes and say, and again, this is like my old Pac-12 hat, my old like collegiate conference hat, saying, keep your eyes open, because every person you meet is going to be someone where you might want to, again, you might want to do their job one day. Ask them the questions, get a little bit more familiar with them, because you never know when that opportunity might arise for you. And you have experience. We always talk about these tactical transferable skills for student athletes. This is now another tool in their tool belt.
And I will say, as somebody who was a collegiate athlete, it's very odd when you finish school after playing sports your whole life. It was always your goal to go to school for sports. And then you graduate and you're like, okay.
Now what?
And I think like that's NIL is so important, that it's creating these types of jobs and opportunities, because it's giving the athletes somewhere to go, something to do, and they're not as lost. There's also like a whole educational component that you spoke about.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we always talk about like, again, formerly you weren't allowed to have a job on campus. You would be able to do those like summer internships when you had, you know, if you're on campus for summer school. And now you could basically have it's a whole side hustle, right? Like it's basically your side hustle as again, student athletes are balancing so much all the time, right? Student athlete, now you're worried about NIL, and you're worried about like family life, all of it. There's just so much that you're balancing. It kind of now replicates what real life looks like. I mean, I think student athletes are going to start coming into the real world a little bit more equipped, because they've now gone through the business acumen. They've gone through what an opportunity looks like to, again, it's the business side of stuff. So you're getting more exposure there than ever before. I mean, I remember student athletes, same thing. It's like, I'm a senior, second quarter senior. You're like, okay, well now I get to think about what I want to do. My thoughts, you know, let's work on that. We got a long way. I was director of operations, so like a lot of student athletes came through my desk, but I mean, it's just so exciting that this is an opportunity that everyone gets to capitalize on now. Again, you have to make it your own. Not everyone's going to want to get involved. Not everyone wants to get a piece of this, but if you do, it is what you put into it. Like Tearra was saying, like if you want to put into it and commit to it and maximize your opportunity there. I mean, again, it's limitless.
Yeah, I tell all my student athletes that this is the best resume builder that you can have. And because it's so unique, so new, like it's going to put you up to the top. If you really, again, you're committed to it, you think outside of the box and you take advantage of every opportunity possible, like this 100% is a great resume builder for like the post like student athlete life, post college.
And Tearra, another thing you mentioned is creating those relationships with the athletes so that they can come to you for anything. It's not transactional. I think that's something that's really important, going both ways, but for the student athlete to feel comfortable. I think that's an amazing thing to do as well, because you don't want it to feel like it's your boss, especially if you're seeing them more often. And then when that translates to having opportunities outside of after they graduate, you don't want to feel like you're talking to your boss. You want to be comfortable. And does Charlotte FC have opportunities for graduates?
So we do. So we have a lot of internship programs. And it's funny that you asked that, because one of the ladies that applied for an internship, unfortunately, she couldn't commit to the whole year of like being in Charlotte, but she's a student athlete. I was like, have you heard about our NIL program? She's like, I haven't. I was like, you should apply. And so in a way, again, it's a great resume builder. So like, it may not look like the traditional internship, but she gets to be in all the different aspects of our club. So she can help out with our retail and, you know, our marketing and our social media, creating her own content. She can come out to games and just see what Charlotte FC does. She can meet our club president. Like our student athletes at the last home match, they met our club president. And so, yes, there are so many opportunities, again, not with just Charlotte FC in general, but again, we have amazing partners like Ally, like Coke, Atrium Health. So yeah, there's so many opportunities with our program, past the program.
And for any athletes that want to get in touch with both Charlotte FC and Captiv8, how can they do so?
Just reach out. I'm pretty sure you guys will probably have my email somewhere, but literally email, even sometimes social media works. And again, it's probably because I only graduated like 2 years ago, where like it's fine. If you want to message me on Instagram and say, hey, how can I get involved? Absolutely love that. Or you can also message the club on Instagram too. And our social media coordinators would be more than happy to reach out. But outside of that, we do have an application link on our website. So if you go to charlottefc.com, you will see a tab that says Student Athlete Ambassadors, and you can apply there.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, reach out however you want. My name is extremely unique, so I don't think anyone will find another Noveen Moinpour, but LinkedIn, IG, email. I think everyone who's put together this awesome webinar has the information. Once again, it's not just for the brands that work with us, but also creators to be able to see the metrics, see their data, be able to track and measure how they're doing. So please reach out. I'm here all the time.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. It was amazing having you and learning more about the value of investing in women and NIL. And I hope you have an amazing day.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.